Anybody object to the meeting being recorded? Okay. All right, so we've got a lot to cover, so I'm just going to jump right in. So the first thing that I wanted to do was introduce everybody to Missy Enman. She is the new Aging and Disability Resource Center specialist. She's going to be reporting to the ServiceLink administrator. She'll be helping with the onboarding process and the Medicaid administrative claiming reporting at this point. So those are two things that we're getting up and running now. So you'll be seeing her name as you hire new staff, and once we have the reporting done, she'll be on that email as well. In the future, she'll be helping with project work and other administrative tasks associated with overseeing the ServiceLink network. So Missy, if you want to say hello.
Hi. So hi, I'm Missy. I'm looking forward to working with you guys. I'm hoping at some point maybe we can set up like a bi-weekly meeting to have discussions, things you guys want to work on. But thank you, and I'm looking forward to working with you.
Yeah, and most likely we'll just build that into the center manager meeting, which happens once a month. So most likely that's what we'll be doing, okay?
Sounds good.
Thank you, Missy.
Thank you.
So the next thing I want to let everybody know is that I have accepted a promotion with another state agency and will be leaving the ServiceLink network as of December 28th. So my last day is December 28th. Tom will be everyone's contact until he can backfill the position. So it will revert back to Tom O'Connor. Missy will be helping with the onboarding and the med admin claiming, and helping out Tom with running the network. So I'm going to stop there. Does anybody want to have any questions or comments about Missy or me? No. Okay.
Oh, it's April, sorry, I didn't get to my button fast enough. For the center manager meetings, is that something that Missy will coordinate, or does the network need to coordinate that now, or how's that gonna work?
That is an excellent question. Tom, I have been running the center manager meetings. So I've been doing the agenda. I've been facilitating the meetings. Would that be you or Missy, or would we go back to having the center managers rotate each month?
So I think what we'll do is we'll kind of take a team approach internally within DHHS. So what I would anticipate happening is BEAS program staff kind of getting together, kind of coming up with the agenda. Also reaching out to center managers to see if there's anything that they want on the agenda, and then kind of taking that approach as a team to have the center manager meeting. Yeah, and I will be there as much as I can be for those meetings. My hope is that we're able to fill the position relatively quickly. So we're already starting the work on the posting and getting the posting up. So that's exciting for me, because typically sometimes we have to wait until the position's vacated in order to start that work. So we're able to kind of jump on it a little bit earlier and again, hopefully fill the position as quickly as possible. I see Betty has her hand up.
Betty?
Good morning. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, for some reason my camera won't go on. I just wanted to say it's been a pleasure working with you, Amy. You will be missed, but I wish you good luck in everything that you're doing.
Thank you, Betty. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Suzanne?
Ditto to Betty. And oh, Tom. Select wisely. Just a question. I'm sorry, somebody was knocking at my door, Tom, when you were talking. Are you going to also run the director meetings? Because we have a couple. I was going to ask you, Amy, back to back, it seems like. I'm going to be on vacation, one of them, so I didn't know. Are we canceling any of them in January, and what's the deal with that? So maybe we combine them with the CMs or for a bit. I don't know. Just advice.
So I don't remember what date in January that meeting was. Let me look it up.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to see if I can find.
I have it for January 8th. So Tom, how would you like to handle the agency lead meetings?
I have a January 2nd agency lead quarterly. Amy?
I don't have anything January 2nd on my schedule. Oh, I see it. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna delete this January 2nd because that's the
Okay.
first day back from.
Yeah, I'm taking
Social
that day
credits.
off too, so I just,
Yep, January 2nd. It's right after the holidays. It's gonna be rough for people. So I
Right.
just canceled January 2nd.
thank
And
you.
we're scheduled for, absolutely, and we're scheduled for January 8th.
Yeah, and can you forward me the January 8th invite, Amy? And
Yes.
we'll keep that meeting on, even if it's just 20 minutes, half-hour meeting, just to kind of give you an update of where we're at as far as Amy's position and anything that's going on as far as like contract-wise or anything like that. I'll also reach out to the agency leads to see if they have anything they want to discuss as well and make sure I'm prepared to answer any potential questions that might be coming up.
Okay, and what I've found in the past is that if I set up a meeting and somebody else tries to run the meeting, they can't get in. So most likely you're gonna have to cancel that meeting and reschedule it under
Yeah.
your own name.
Okay, yep. Yeah,
And
but that'll be a good reminder to do that. So I'll work on that this week or so.
Perfect.
sure I get
And
that done.
I did send you a list of everybody's emails, so you should be good.
Yep, I think I got it. I think I saved it to my contacts. So
Yeah. Yeah. Does anybody else have any questions or comments? Okay.
awesome.
Okay. All right. The next thing I wanted to let you know about was the amendment. We had been aiming for the last GNC in December. The contracts unit told me that that is not going to happen because of the size of the action. So they have assured me that it will happen the first meeting in January. I've already completed the amendments. It's just a matter of going through the quality control group within contracts. So it should be on the January 10th GNC. With the amendment, we removed the bulk of the scope related to veteran-directed care and transitional counseling services, as these are not funded mandates and they're not overseen by the state. So it didn't make sense to have scope in the contract that we weren't enforcing or paying for. I didn't think that was fair, so we did take all of that out. We also took out the language around Bureau of Housing Services. I confirmed with them that they are not going to be pursuing that, so I took that language out as well. We did add language about home visiting and asking for a work plan about how home visiting will happen. The money being added, we're asking that you hire a part-time staff. We're not dictating number of hours or anything like that. It's understanding that the money is being added so that we can expand our home visiting capacity. So we're asking people to use that money for hiring part-time, and if it's within your agency, dictates looking at additional funding for staff. Because when I asked for the money, that was what I based it on. Any questions about the amendment?
Amy, you may have covered this before. The veterans, I understand it's coming out and I understand why. Will we be getting some agreement from somebody else?
The VA,
Yeah.
VA has agreements directly with the agencies, and it's been that way for years. So the VA runs the program. The VA has the agreements directly with the agencies. They did not use our scope. They were not using our scope at all. So it put the vendors out of compliance automatically because we had scope in the contract that they weren't even utilizing. So that's why we took it out, but it's not that VDC is going away. It's just that the state is no longer a part of the program and hasn't been a part of the program for a number of years.
So that will just be the sole contract then, will be the direct contract. Okay.
Exactly. Yep. And there will be 2 lines left in the amendment that say we will accept referrals and we will work with the VA as part of the agreement between Administration for Community Living, which funds the ADRCs, and the VA, which runs the VDC program. There's a federal level agreement between the two. So we just ask that people continue to work with that program so long as you have a contract with them. If you don't have a contract or they're not sending you referrals, you're not out of compliance in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, so that's the hard part too, is once the contract ends as with the state as far as ADRC, then for example, if you don't have an ADRC or ServiceLink contract, then you can't provide VDC services. That's what the agreement is on the federal level. VDC is operated through ADRCs and the collaboration between the two, but the VA manages the dollars for that program. So the only thing we have to have in our contract is that ServiceLinks and ADRCs will collaborate with the VA to administer the VDC program.
Thanks, Tom.
Yep.
Any other questions on the amendment? Okay, the next thing is the solicitation. So we're hoping that the solicitation will be posted in January or February. We're going to start using the name Aging and Disability Resource Center for the program. So there won't be a reference to ServiceLink in the solicitation, and we're moving towards branding the program as an ADRC program to align the state program with the federal funding and the federal mandates. We're still going to be using the same brochures. If people call it ServiceLink, that's fine. It's just that the state is not going to be branding it that way. And I'm assuming the next time we update brochures, the language will switch over to ADRC from ServiceLink, or maybe after the solicitation, after the new contract cycle. Any questions on the solicitation?
I'm sorry, what's the rationale behind that? It's people understand ServiceLink now and it's changing, so that sounds like more confusion.
Right. The federal government calls it the Aging and Disability Resource Center program. And when we got the House Bill 2 funds, they called it the Aging and Disability Resource Center program. So we're trying to align the state program with the federal program and with the funding that came from legislation through House Bill 2. We're not, if people call it ServiceLink, they call it ServiceLink. If they ask if we're ServiceLink, we can say yes. It's just that from a state perspective, we're modifying the branding to better align with federal guidelines and with state legislation.
Okay. That doesn't sound like a value add. That sounds like an administrative deal that could be dealt with at the state and leave the branding the way it is, which is what people know. But if that's your directive, so be it. Sounds like a headache to me. So it sounds like a headache and dollars being spent to rebrand something that doesn't need rebranding. But that's my opinion.
That was a directive I was given. That was not my call. I hear you though, Chris.
I would even say that was some of our arguments about the name change, so.
Right. Yeah, you have a very good point. Other questions? April?
So I put it in the comments too. So just for like day-to-day operations, like we have signage that was mandated for our door that is ServiceLink. You know, we have letterhead. I mean, I guess all that will be moved to the branding that you put out next. Like I'm just thinking about like the day-to-day operations and how that looks for the person walking in. What are materials and signage, et cetera, look like?
Yeah, I
Well,
think
materials,
just,
signage, website, I mean, the list goes on.
yeah, exactly. So it's not a hard and fast, like we're halting, changing everything right now. It's going to be a phased process. So we wouldn't look for you to take your signage down because like you guys say, the people know it as ServiceLink. It's just when we talk about it and when we write about it, we're going to start using ADRC. And then, you know, like I said, when we were talking about it internally, great, we could start saying and writing ADRC, but I think on some level we have to say formerly known as ServiceLink because again, people know it as ServiceLink and not as an ADRC. But what was said to me is really when you look at the data, when we survey people about who knows ServiceLink and who doesn't, there's still 55 to 60% of the population that don't even know about ServiceLink. So we have to kind of continue to build that capacity, but I agree with you. We invested a lot of money. I think we just got 15,000 new ServiceLink brochures printed. But again, I think we just have to be thoughtful about how we move forward and what that looks like. Continuing these type of conversations will be a critical part of that. And also if we're going to make that step to be a, you know, 180-degree change, then I think we have to support the investment of that rebranding. So I would want to support any vendor in getting funds to be able to get a new signage to replace what was, you know, currently on their doors and hanging on the sides of roads, things like that. So it's a relatively new shift, and I think it's really around making sure we just communicate it a certain way, but also reminding people that we are still talking about ServiceLink.
Other,
Mary-
I
Mary
see, I
has her
see
name
a
up.
hand, but I can't see who it is.
It's Mary.
Oh, okay.
I was just gonna say that in reality, most of our signs already have Aging and Disability Resource Center underneath the word ServiceLink.
Yeah.
So it's not like we've ever really not been attached to that terminology also. So, I mean, I think it's more of an emphasis of putting aging and disability, emphasizing that piece, but all of our, most, if not all of our things also already say Aging and Disability Resource Center on it.
Yeah. Thank you, Mary.
Other questions or comments about the solicitation? Okay. The last thing that I wanted to talk about was Medicaid administrative claiming. I've finished instructions about how we're going to pull the data for the person-centered counseling interactions and the information and referral actions. Missy I'm going to be training her on how to pull the data, and she'll be pulling the data for November in the next 2 weeks. At this point, we're just testing our process, testing the numbers that we come out. I will be sending the instructions about how to pull the recording to the center managers, or to the people that are currently managing the day-to-day operations of the program, so that if they want to pull the numbers to verify what we're doing, and I'm not asking for this every month, but if you have time and you want to do it for November, just so we can make sure that the numbers are correct and that we're accurately reflecting what's happening in your program, in your office, I think that would be helpful. Again, I'm not mandating it. I'm just saying that I would like a double check is what I'm asking for. So if the center managers have time to follow the instructions, April, you've looked at it. Can you advise how long it took you to pull the data using the instructions?
So pulling the data from Navigate doesn't take a long time. It's the manipulating the data and pulling out what you can't use that takes the most time. So it could take, I don't know, 30, 45 minutes. I'm used to doing those kinds of things, so it's a little faster, but if you've never done it, it could take some time.
Okay. Okay, well, I'm not asking for it going forward. Some of you have indicated that you want to pull it monthly just to make sure that our numbers are in alignment, but I really think it would be great if people could just double check the numbers for November to make sure that we're on the right track and that what we're doing is going to show the work being done so that we can lobby for Medicaid administrative claiming dollars in the solicitation. We've finalized the total bucket of money that's available for the solicitation, but my understanding is that they're looking at adding the Medicaid administrative claiming dollars sometime in state fiscal year 25 or 26, once they have enough data and come up with some sort of a method to determine how much money is appropriate. So that's my understanding of what they're doing. That is what we will be doing. We'll be pulling the reports for all the sites at the state level. So that's probably a day or two of work on our end. Questions or comments about Medicaid administrative claiming?
I don't have a question on that, but as I was listening, I want to back up to the amendments. Did the department and you all reach a point to also include in that amendment some relief on the submittals of all of the backup documentation?
The financial supporting documentation?
Yes.
What I did when I asked for the funds is I built in, I took an amount for the salaries and then I added 40% to that for all other costs based on the average of all of the agencies. So I built in for an increase for all costs associated with increasing the staffing, and as part of that, covering the costs associated with financial supporting documentation. We're not mandating how you use the money beyond saying that you need to hire at least a part-time staff for the home visiting because that's the scope that was added. But my expectation is that some of the money is going to be used for administrative responsibilities.
So the language is not going to be updated to, if we're clean for 2 months or whatever, we can move to annual. That's not going in there? Is that what I'm hearing?
No, I pushed so hard for that and they said, no, we're not doing it. They're considering it for the solicitation and the next contract cycle, but they refused to let me do it as part of the amendment. I'm so sorry. I know that is stinky news.
Yeah.
Well, it will, I mean, I don't hear this. I'm not meaning this in a ominous, threatening way. But if that language is missing, it will greatly impact whether we bid or not.
Yeah. Yeah, we have told them that. And I'm sure Tom will continue to beat that drum.
Absolutely.
All right, so I've gone over all the things that I had to go over. Whatever questions or comments you want to make, feel free to bring them up on any of these topics, or if there's anything else you want to bring up, that's fine too. We've got a few more minutes.
Hey, Amy, it's Cheryl. I just want to go back to, I think it was Chris that was talking about the language about documentation and everything.
Mhm.
In addition to that, is there going to be a time when there is a definite turnaround time? Because we haven't been paid at all in fiscal year 24. We keep supplying stuff, and it really isn't fair to the program. We're still expected to do the work, but we're not getting the compensation for it.
Yeah. Tom, do you want to weigh in on that?
I mean, I've seen the emails, Cheryl, back and forth. And I'm kind of surprised that they haven't paid you out anything since starting July. So if that's the case, I really think that, you know, your CEO needs to reach out to, you know, our bureau chief and director and the finance lead to try to get that resolved, because that was one thing we focused on and towards the end of state fiscal year 23 is making sure that we're more timely in paying our contractors. And so again, if you haven't been paid since July, I would really take the step to elevate it at this point. If you feel like you've done everything on your end to do what you think you need to do, and it hasn't happened, then we have to elevate it.
Cheryl, I just looked in the folder and there's actually a few months where it's paid. It just hasn't been processed by accounts payable. So maybe you and I can connect outside of this meeting and I can tell
Okay,
you
good.
what money you should be expecting in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, because you should at least know whether or not that you've met the need in order to get reimbursed. So, so if you're not hearing anything from them, then that would be my guess is AP is delayed, but still, that's a very long delay even for AP.
Yeah, Cheryl, why don't you and I connect after the meeting, like later on today?
Sounds good, Amy. Thank you. And Betty might want to be a part of that. I'll touch base with her.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. Jeannie?
Just put something up in the chat because I'm actually traveling. I'm in Lumina, as they say, but sort of wanted to echo what Chris had to say about the contracts.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
that is something that our board has been discussing.
I appreciate letting us know that, because we can use that to bring forward to our leadership and discuss, to advocate for the need for that language to be in there.
Yeah, I mean, our boards, you know, they oversee our fiscal elements, right? And
Yep.
and they're asking the question of why are we doing this if we're losing money on it?
Yeah,
And why are we
Yep.
doing it now since we're losing more money on it with the added admin? And I don't have an answer for them.
Yeah.
So
that's fair. That is absolutely fair.
Does anybody else have any parting questions or comments? All right, thank you so much, you guys. It's been a pleasure working with all of you. I wish you a very happy holiday. Thank you for coming on the call. I will be turning this recording into a YouTube video. There's only one person in the state that does that. So there'll be a little bit of a delay, but I'll send you my notes today and I'll get you the video as soon as I can. So thank you everybody very much. And I hope you have a good day.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Amy.
Amy. Thank you.
bye-bye.
Thank you.